obnoxious. She goes over and over little events in her life, reliving her successes and suffering through her failures all over again.
You're a member of this family and you're going to act like one. Are you finished that long before supper or else?
That combination of new lung power, changed voices, and boundless energy is hard on the neighbors.
Welcome everyone to another Compromise interview. Today I have with me Justin Fenwick, the artist. Welcome aboard, Justin.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I said artist, so I want to give you a little bit of time to describe artist and how it applies to you.
I would say that I've always been into art ever since I was a little kid. My love for shoes started around 5th grade, I believe, when I saw the Jordan 4s. Completely changed how I looked at sneakers, just the architecture and everything, the way they were put together, and just the story behind everything. And once I got into sneakers, later on, obviously I was able to kind of mix my art background with the sneakers. And I think that medium alone has really meant something even bigger to me than just like the regular art part of it. So I think once you find a medium that you really have a passion for, and you're able to combine those two together, that creates a real love for the art. So
yeah, I love that. And so we're obviously talking to Justin today about primarily his art with customizing shoes. So we'll get into that for sure today. Before we go, you mentioned the Jordan 4s. I'll ask you if you had a choice to have one shoe for the rest of your life. What is it?
It would be the Jordan Metallic 5s, the black Metallic 5s, the shoes that I actually have on today.
Okay.
The interview. That's my favorite shoe. I think we all like nostalgia. And back in the day when Foot Locker used to be at the mall, Northwoods Mall on the bottom, I remember being in 6th grade. I still remember I had a science project that we dropped off at the school, and we had some time to kill. So went out to the mall, and I actually had no clue that the Jordan 5s were coming out at the time. And when I went to Foot Locker, they used to have the shoes up on the wall.
Yep.
And they back then they used to bring out the black and white colorway, would all drop at the same time. It wasn't kind of released how it is now. And I'll never forget seeing those shoes. And I was more always into black shoes than white shoes back when I was younger. Kind of diversified a little bit since then. But I remember just seeing like the clear bottoms, the clear sides, the silver tongue. It was just something about that shoe that just really I don't know, just completely changed my whole perspective of sneakers. And I was hooked ever since. Once I got those, I was ready for the next one to come out the next year. And then that drove me into other basketball shoes and Air Max. And it really opened me up to a huge love for sneakers that prior to that, I don't think I had. I think sneakers were just like sneakers. They just really didn't, they were just a shoe. You'd wear a shoe. I was kind of always wearing Nikes, and I even had maybe zips and kangaroos and stuff like that back then. But the Jordan 5 really changed my whole perspective of how I looked at sneakers, how I valued just the culture of sneakers, and just really I just remember that whole day to this day. And like I said, I think that a lot of the stuff the retros and all that it brings, if you're a certain age and you lived through those times when it first came out, it just brings back a nostalgia to you. You remember a lot of the things that were going on at the time, good and bad.
Yep. I forgot about how big Foot Locker was back in the day, because that's where I bought my first pair of Jordans too. It was the 6s, and I cried to my mom because she first said no, and then she eventually brought me back. But yeah, Foot Locker was huge.
Yeah, I think I used I still have the original box.
Okay.
They were $100 on the dot.
Wow.
And back then, $100 in what would that have been 92, 93. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. I had money from paper. I had a paper route when I was in grade school,
Yeah.
and then I used to detassel corn
Yes.
in the summertime, and I just always was kind of conservative with my money.
Yeah.
Didn't really spend it on a lot, so I had the money to get them, but obviously I got criticized huge from my mom for spending that kind of money
Yeah.
on a pair of sneakers. But like I said, I was hooked.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have mattered. They could have
Yeah.
been $200 back then, and I still would have been like, I'm gonna get these. Like, you know, even if I gotta like save up my money and stuff. So, yeah, definitely Foot Locker in the mall was kind of just at the time. It might have been the only sneaker store
You might be right.
back then, because I don't think Finish Line or any of that stuff existed back then. And it was at, you know, the lower part of the mall. It had always been in the same spot. And they used to have you know, prior to the internet, they used to have a magazine that Foot Locker would show that would show you the shoes that were coming out. And then that obviously led into like East Bay magazine. And, you know, anybody who's old enough to know when East Bay came out, like that would give you like all kinds of options, whether it was like, you know, you were into sports, whether you were like a basketball player, football player, runner,
Cheerleader. Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, they even actually back then, I think in some of I'm trying to think of some of the brands of shoes you could kind of customize.
Yep.
Like get the different colors or maybe your team number or whatever. So that was kind of like a customization thing before that ever even really started to become a thing.
Yeah,
so.
it was like the internet in a magazine form,
Totally.
basically.
Totally. I actually still have a couple of East Bay magazines that
Yeah.
I've held on to. Yeah, it's just like I said, it brings you back. It's a nostalgia thing. Maybe like a simpler time before all the technology kind of took over and took everything to a more like higher level and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So.
there's much more anticipation back in the day.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Now everything's been kind of like, I mean, hell, they have so many Jordans come out now per month that it's not as special. I remember the feelings that I used to get when I used to get a pair. It was almost like that butterfly feeling inside. Once you're around something so much, and it just doesn't become as special as it used to be.
Yeah.
But those moments take me back to when it did mean something, and it was I think kind of on the cusp of new. Like you had Bo Jackson and Michael Jordan, David Robinson, you know, Shaq, all these sports players who they were using to promote these shoes, where before you really didn't have that as much. And I just think that grew the culture of sneakers. So.
Yeah, you're right. Speaking of sneakers, you brought a couple by. Let's take a look at what you have.
Yeah, I got a couple of. I brought one unfinished, and then I brought some finished stuff.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and open the unfinished stuff. We have a pair of Michael Myers Halloween Air Force Ones. Still have to do the Michael Myers face on the toe box, which will be kind of like a washed look. It won't be solid. It'll kind of be a washed, kind of faded look of his mask. And then you have like the bloody laces. The whole part of the shoe is kind of like his jacket or like the suit he wore. I don't know if it's like a mechanic suit or whatever. Then the inside's got like the Halloween logo. It's kind of hard to see. The tongue is custom. Is actually the material is from a Michael Myers Halloween costume that I bought, and then I just cut it up.
That's crazy.
And then the swooshes are not on there, but the swooshes are actually little knives that are made out of goat leather.
That's crazy.
So yeah, those still have to go on there and stuff.
Okay.
So
All right. Those are dope.
and then these are a pair that just got finished not too long ago. These are a pair of Jordan 1 lows, and they are the Peoria Junior Mustangs, which is a hockey team here in Peoria. And the tongues and the inside tongues were actually made out of a real hockey jersey that was provided to me by the person who had these made, that wanted them made. And the outside swooshes are actually like hockey sticks. they sent me a couple of like different versions of hockey sticks they use. So I tried to match the aesthetics of what they sent me. So that way it's a little like personal, you know, try to personalize it as much as possible. That way the person can enjoy it a little bit more. Maybe it becomes a little bit more special to you.
Yeah, I love that this is you got that local collab going on.
Yeah,
sure.
definitely. You know, people love their teams. People love whatever, you know, maybe their business or just whatever's important to them. And just like how people used to get shirts made, or sometimes people get a hat made, you know, now we're at the level where you can get your shoes made, and you can, you know, personalize it and customize it, and it can be special to you, and you can put things in there that mean something to you or things that are important to you in your life. And it just adds another layer of like customization for somebody. And I also think that it, for the most part, it gives people an opportunity to, even if you don't want to wear the shoes, you know, you can get a pair, and a lot of the times people put them in their office or, you know, their man cave. And it just gives you a representation of like something that you're into. So like if you're into a certain sports team, or maybe you're into like a certain kind of musician or whatever, you can, you know, we can try to match up the things that aesthetically need to represent that. And, you know, maybe you like them so much you don't want to wear them and you just want to sit them up in there and appreciate them and stuff, which is a huge honor as an artist, because if you're going to get a pair of sneakers done and you don't want to wear them and you want to showcase them and put them up, that's a huge honor, because it's really no different at the end of the day than having like a canvas piece put up. You know, I mean, you get a canvas piece, you're not going to wear it. You're going to put it up on the wall, and you're going to appreciate it, and for people to come over and see it. So
never thought of it that way.
Yeah. And then the last one we have, and this is a little bit more like when you get into one in like a custom box. So this one right here is a military theme. It's a Desert Storm themed shoe, and this is a night goggle box that I had gotten from a military surplus store, and then I changed it in and made it into kind of like a mini gun case. And what we have here is a pair of Air Force Ones that are completely like redone for the most part. The tongue is made out of a actual Desert Storm jacket. The swooshes have been replaced and were made into M16s that are made out of lasered out of leather. You have some netting added into there, and then you got like the American flag patches on the tongue. And then with the case, they kind of come like they're a gun, and then you have an extra M16 clip in there. So, and like I said before, you know, something like this would be more towards like, say, somebody who served in the service, who like wanted something special like that, and you know, you could just set this up and have it in, you know, your room or whatever, or you know, maybe you want to put it in a cube or something, and have people just come and enjoy it.
There's so much detail to this. It's almost like a snake skin too on this little piece. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a definitely an interesting pattern to do. And the cool thing with camouflage is there's really no like set pattern on it. Like camouflage is one of those things where as long as you kind of get the aesthetics of the shapes, you can kind of put it together however you want it for the most part. So it's kind of a fun design to do.
Yeah, these are dope. The case too. So was that the case something that the buyer or the requester, like, was that something that
I actually came up with that idea?
Yeah.
You know, not every project has a case. Sometimes, you know, if we want to go a little bit further and make something like that, obviously, you know, you're talking about more money into the project. So not everybody wants to spend that kind of money, but I've always found it fun to like add a case that the shoes come in, opposed to just like putting the shoes in like a regular sneaker box or just a cardboard box or whatever. Like I said, it gives it a little bit. You're able to put that more detail in there, and I consider myself a pretty detailed person. I like those little small details. I think go a long way. And then sometimes, like you might pull something out, you don't catch something at first. And then that way you get to appreciate it a little bit more. Like, you start looking at it and you're like, oh man, I didn't see that, like he put that in there. So I think those little small details and then just the overall package, it gives it a good presentation.
Yeah, I agree. How often, like what percentage of product do you put out where it's fully customized
Probably
case and everything?
not really too many.
Okay.
It's a small percentage. Most of the people, I'd say most of the people who get the shoes wear them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're always. I always hear stories from people after they've gotten it or whatever, or maybe somebody got it as a gift, and then somebody told me, "Oh yeah, so and so got the shoes and loved them so much they put them in their office or they put them, in their man cave room or whatever." And like I said, that's always like a huge honor too. But whether you wear them or you appreciate them and put them up, it's still a huge honor either which way, because it's like you're respecting the art.
Yep.
And you appreciate the art enough to like showcase it like that. But most of the time, it's usually just the shoes. There's been, I don't know, I've done quite a bit of cases, but like I said, once you start getting into that, it kind of jumps the price up a little bit, and we're already kind of talking some money already.
Yeah.
So it's usually how much that person really wants to put into the project, just like anything else that you get done.
Yeah. It's probably, I mean, even though it's all your concept, it gets a little bit away from the actual art of the shoe as well when you're starting to go into the cases and all that.
Totally. But I also think that, like, depending on the project, it just gives it that little extra something.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm a detailed person, and I try to be as creative as possible with the shoes and just the whole aesthetics of everything. I enjoy, like, when I'm able to do that, because it challenges me. Because a lot of the times when you're doing this stuff, there's really no like blueprint for any of this stuff.
Yeah.
So like when you're got to you get an idea in your head and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna have to go to like Lowe's and Hobby Lobby and all these other places to try to put all this together, and maybe you don't, maybe it doesn't perfectly fit what you were trying to accomplish from like the picture in your mind. But it also, like, it makes you think a lot more, and it challenges you. I think the challenge of that is something that a lot of people who are artists, or just in general, the challenge of trying to like create something that you think in your mind and make that into reality. There's something satisfying about that to me.